Mark and Cam, keep up the great work. Smash the like button. The head of the snake is gone by Blake James. Manny Diaz, you're next, and your daddy can't save you. This time, clean house. Canes for life, 100.
So he's saying that because Manuel Diaz Sr. was the mayor of the city of Miami at the time, and his connections, what Chuck Mobir is saying is his connections politically have skirted over or had some covering for Manny Diaz Jr., who is Miami Hurricanes coach. But yeah, I mean, again, it was necessary for both Blake and Manny to go. And I think that Manny is next. I would have inverted that order just because I think that Manny should have been gone earlier. But hey, you got to go. You got to go.
Falcon Rex, super sticker guy. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate that. You know that. Thanks for being here as always. And then Falcon Rex follows up the big super sticker in red with the green super chat. I hear Gino Torretta is the next athletic director. I'm not sure. Is he the most qualified man? Can you tell me?
I don't know what his qualifications are past football. I would have to look that up, but I know that he is actually no, because that would have been conjecture. I'm not sure. And I don't necessarily agree that he is the next, but he's on the list. There's him, there's Alonzo Highsmith, who's been a high-level executive in the NFL. The gentleman from FAU, USF, a couple other places were listed. Barry Jackson reported the list of potential candidates or top candidates for athletic director. I would like to see maybe a couple others. Shout out to JP. I got to say his guy, Mac Rhodes from Baylor, who has really increased things over there, both in basketball and on football. So we'll see. But I would have to go look in terms of Torretta specifically for what his qualifications are. But if he's on the list, I would hope that he at least does have the experience where it would not be pulling someone like me to be athletic director. Like, I like to think that I know a lot of things, but in terms of professional experience, to be able to step up into the athletic director role, I'm not sure that I have the experience and knowledge to do that. And I hope that based upon whatever he's done past football, Gino Torretta, if he's in the conversation, does.
All right. Number of comments coming in. Let's see. Conversations there. All right. Good, bad, ugly. That's typically your review of the game each and every week. So when it comes to Florida State, what kind of positives did you draw?
Not many, to be perfectly honest, because I don't think there were many. And of course, the website wants to go slow as I click on it. I think I said the competitive nature of the team, because I will give credit where it is due. The team did not quit. The team, Miami got down 17-0 and then ended up coming back to lead that game before giving it away. So there was that. Tyler Van Dyke specifically bouncing back from a tough start. 316 yards and 4 touchdowns. He did also have all 3 of Miami's turnovers, 2 interceptions and a fumble. But he eventually got it going. So that was positive. You had touchdowns by 4 different receivers: Keyshawn Smith, Mike Harley, Will Mallory, and Jalen Knighton. Jalen Knighton, that touchdown on that arrow route was incredible. I mean, Marcus Brownlee Marcus Brownlee is on Florida State and they won the game, but he got to wear that one because he tried to go for the boom on Jalen Knighton. And I mean, he's a cornerback. He's 5'11", 190 pounds against a running back of similar size. But he was like, oh, I'm going to drop the hit stick. And Jalen Knighton dropped that shoulder to his chest, spun off him, and kept going and scored. That was really an incredible play, even in a bad game. But past that, some defensive statistics. And that was pretty much it. I mean, there wasn't really a lot. In every big moment, Miami did not rise to the occasion. And you play cowardly, fourth and pretty much the ball game for 1.5. when Miami was on offense on their penultimate drive, not on the last drive that ended up, but the one before Florida State scored. The clear choice is to go for it. The analytics follow it up. I think I tweeted like quickly in the moment, and I went back and was like, hold on, wait. But like, I'm on the 46-yard line. If you want to talk about, hey, we haven't had, or Florida State has not scored on us in the second half or something, or hasn't driven the field or whatever it was, right? If that's the line of logic that you want to use for punting and having them pin back, that's the same logic you got to use right there at the 46, 47-yard line. Like, call a timeout, call your best play, get that yard and a half and go, because 1.5 as opposed to 1 shouldn't have been a difference, because you're not going to really probably necessarily run the ball on that without being able to run the ball that game. So again, even the talk afterwards about like, oh, well, it was more than a yard. It wasn't like y'all were going to run the ball, like call a run play for that anyway. So what's stopping you from what should have been, fourth in the ball game? You go, you pick up that yard and a half, and we win. You did it at Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? You've done it in other games because that Pittsburgh game was still the same thing. You're on the road. It's a little bit across the I think that was at midfield, maybe going, so it's maybe 10 yards up the field from where we were. But you've already done that a couple games ago against a ranked team. So miss me with the, oh, well, we couldn't. You can, you should have, and you already did this season. So miss me with that. But it was more bad and ugly. I mean, you had 19 penalties total, including the decline and offsetting. And this is a week after your cleanest game of the year against Georgia Tech with 3 penalties. Again, you eclipsed that in the first drive. You know what I mean? Like, it just, and every week you still spot the other team points and you want to climb back. Like, the game doesn't start when the game starts, and it's just, you come out and you play scared on offense all of a sudden. Like, you should have had all the swagger coming off that sideline. We got the ball first. Our quarterback has been like NBA Jam. He's on fire hot. You know what I mean? And come out, and then like you have conservative play calls. You just have this conservative like mindset. You can tell even early they're hoping to have a chance to win this game. Not like last year when it's like, we're going to stomp on their face. They can't stop it. And they can't stop it because we've seen other worse teams not be stopped by them. But then again, like I've been saying, you play down to and below the level of the opponent. And this is how we get here. So the good, the bad, the ugly was a lot of that. And honestly, I didn't even go as deep as I usually do. And I give all the statistics and all the things in every single area. And all you need to know is we lost to that Florida State team for this year. Fireable. And Blake James is already gone. And I need Manny Diaz to be gone too. To the point, in punto.com, the end. There was a question in there from the North Carolina guy, Luke, I believe it was, about Miami only signing 8 commitments at signing day. And I tweeted this today. When was the last time that anybody has heard Miami be favorably mentioned by a recruit? There was the number 1 JUCO corner who had Miami in his top 5, Jeffrey Mba, another, I think he's number 1 overall JUCO guy. He has Miami in his top 4. There's another couple of guys where that's happened, but whenever you've seen from anybody that it's been like, oh, Miami this, Miami that, Miami this, Miami that, it has not happened. I've not written a class breakdown in the longest because there ain't nothing out there, other than Traycon Fagan's decommitting and going to Bama because he's like, yo, I'm going to go join death row. Like, y'all playing games. I need to get to the league. But other than that, when have we had any kind of momentum, any kind of conversation, any kind of juice, buzz, anything? It really has not happened other than a couple of 2023s being to lots of games, like Hakeem Williams from Fort Lauderdale Stranahan High School, 6'3" wide receiver in the next recruiting class. But like guys right now who could actually sign or come to Miami at whether it's, JUCO or prep level, it's been radio silent. And it's, that's tough. But, hey, we'll see.
We'll read the super chat, then I'll hit you with a question of my own related to what you just stated. So we got Street Value here. Appreciate that so much. True or false, Miami got fat and sassy after beating 2 ranked teams and underestimated Florida State.
I don't think that we underestimated Florida State, but good God, I don't think that we underestimated them, because that's a game where, like, again, everybody on both sidelines knows everybody. And I mean, you have guys who played together in high school and against each other. And I went to Central and I went to Northwestern, and we even played, you're from Duval, but we even played the Duval teams in state quarterfinals or semis or something. So like, everybody knows everybody. So it's not that we underestimated them or took them and did not think that they had any competitive chance. We just played one of the worst games of the year at a really terrible time. And again, you let a team hang around enough.
Yeah, you just have to look at the Pitt and North Carolina State results. North Carolina State, a team that just beat Florida State by 2 touchdowns, a team that Miami beat.
And their own content creators, I believe it was 247 for Florida State. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in the chat, but they wrote that it was miraculous that Florida State scored 14 against NC State. A miracle. And here we are with Miami giving up 30 points again, which has happened, I believe, in every single game except for the Central Connecticut State game, which is no great.
So in the scenario in which Manny Diaz is let go sometime between right this second and the Sunday following the last game of the season, which would be, I believe, November 28th. So that Black Sunday, in which we're going to see 7, 8, 10 head coaches across the nation get axed. So National Signing Day is December 15th. So that is roughly 3 weeks.
Shucks, wow, that's fast.
Less than a month away. So about 3 weeks gap between the final game and National Signing Day. I would think that there would be some kind of strategy as to, we want to make a quick hire, because especially if we make an impressive hire, you may be, with your recruiting knowledge, able to come up with some instances, but I know that it's happened before where there's a big hire, a big splash, and a guy is so good he can come in and save a recruiting class. No, it's not going to be everything it could have been, but he's able to sway and really pull some guys off the fence in their direction and make a difference in just a couple weeks. But balance that out with obviously making the correct hire and taking the time to do the search and the interviews to make the correct decision.
Yeah, you gotta make the right hire, and clearly Miami's not done that a lot recently. I mean, you bring in one coach with a proven track record, and in the second year he wins 10 games. It's not hard, but this is not a training job. This is not an on-the-job training. You're a OJT from way back when I first started teaching. Where you have 2 high school classes and then you leave at lunch and then you go and have your job, and that's also for credit. And this is not an OJT job. We need somebody who knows what they're doing. We need somebody who has performed. And now you might take a little bit of a bet on them improving their performance, given the state of Miami and like the program and the potential with, not having really great other competition on the ACC Coastal and things like that. So you might have somebody, I mean, like if you're talking about a Mark Stoops, that would be a bet that he can elevate what he's shown if you were to bring him in. And that's okay if we go that way, but you just need to make the right choice. And you can probably saving a recruiting class, current cycle, is relative. Okay. So you're not going to really go from wherever we are up to the top 10. I mean, I know that we're in the 50s or 60s and we only got 8 guys committed, but relative to Miami, if you get a guy coming in and you get 4 or 5 high school kids, hopefully, 4-star guys, anything above that, if we get any 5 stars or anything, that's going to be bonus. But you get a decent number. Hopefully, we leverage the transfer portal through this year and then rebuild the roster that way and then really push. We're going to really see the recruiting bump happen as the first full cycle for the new coach. So the thing for the new coach who's incoming this cycle is don't let it completely fall apart. At least hold serve for a little bit, keep it where it is, improve it a little bit so the bottom doesn't fall out and we're sitting at 0 commitments. And then the real move is in the first full cycle. I've talked about this. Bud Elliott has written articles about it when he was with SB Nation and at 247 Sports. The first full cycle is where you're going to see the bump. So, yeah, you just need somebody to tread water and then be able to elevate. But, again, that cannot be the sole focus. We need to get the right guy for the job and then have that happen on the recruiting trail. Because unlike Dan Mullen, I know that all the time is recruiting time.
Yes, it is. If you want to be relevant and want to win, you got to be recruiting and grinding all the time. RPK, appreciate you being here. Assuming there's a coaching change, any current staffers you would want to keep? I still say keep T-Rob.
Yeah, just Travaris Robinson, the defensive backs coach. There's arguments to be made for several people. Rob Likens is the wide receivers coach. Stephen Field, my guy, is tight end coach. Garen Justice and Rhett Lashley are kind of pals. So that's the thing where if you don't have one, you don't have the other. And I don't know that Lashley would stay around. And there's things to like with Lashley, but there's areas for growth as well. I would love to see the actual offense that was run at SMU. I need, maybe some more air raid stuff in there. Because he's kind of in between doing the air raid thing and then doing the run heavy Auburn thing. And it's kind of in between in a not great way. Defensive line, Jess Simpson's very good. I don't know if he would stay, but I mean, that's somebody who I wouldn't mind keeping. Linebackers got to go, both of them, Pat Key and Aristide. Aristide only because he's young. I don't know him. And he's not, he's from Miami, but he's not from the Miami program. So DeMarcus Van Dyke is his first year as cornerback coach. I would like to keep him. If we don't, I understand. Then T-Rob, yeah. So, you can make an argument for some of them to stay. I think that realistically, though, you got to look at the top of the assistant pool. So maybe a T-Rob and Likens, and then maybe from there, who would realistically be held over by a new coach, just because they have coached at this and higher levels and performed. Past that, it's kind of a toss-up.
Is there any reason to believe the statement made by Raphael here is accurate or based in reality? We got to consider that the Florida job may be open, the LSU job is open, the USC job is open, and then some other more second-tier jobs like Washington, Texas Tech, TCU, and so forth, and LSU, they're going to break the bank if it's required.
I don't want to speak for Raphael, but I think / wink, wink, hope he meant the most money ever for coaching that Miami has ever spent. Not that has ever been spent in the world of college football. That's transparently not going to happen. But I believe that, you do have, it's been reported already that, you get rid of Blake James, you get more than $1 million. It was at 7 figures worth of donations from donors. Do your math, 1 comma, 2 commas. So you have that who are putting, so already donations being put towards the coaching staff and everything. So raising the allocations for the assistants and then also being able to provide a competitive salary to whoever the head coach is going to be. I think that Miami's going to finally stop claiming poor, because Miami's not poor. Just not. It's just verifiably inaccurate. There's an article about the profits from the U Health system, the University of Miami health system. There's money around. You know what I mean? No, you might not have a T. Boone Pickens singular donor like OK State, who's cool, I'm going to stroke you guys a $17 million check a year, and you guys do with that as you see fit. But to say that Miami is in the poorhouse by electing to be frugal, you can elect to be frugal and have a whole bunch of money. You remember the Chappelle show when he's playing Tron and oh baby, and he has the money all on him and everything. That's what Miami's been. There's money around. We've just been very thrifty about it, spendthrift, as it were, frugal, but money's there. So if you want to talk about a coach making 4 or 5, a year, that's within the realm of possibilities. And I know Miami wants to make it seem otherwise because then, well, we just get to keep money and have profits for the university. And then we can just do some other things and we don't have to put that money there. But you should have been saving and getting the interest from that money for a good long time, because we have gone cheap on coaches multiple times. And I'm not saying give the Mel Tucker, Nick Saban or Jimbo Fisher 10 years, 95 to anybody, but $4 or $5 million a year plus a substantial increase in the pool for assistants is not outside the realm of possibilities. And if Miami's going to be serious about competing, that is what needs to happen. And the money is there for that to happen.
I'm sure they would have been in the top 10 range for Mark Richt, right? In terms of money? You would think.
Yeah, no, I mean, he made a good little chunk of change there. It's always hard because Miami's a private school, so you're not going to be able to get those contract details with the Freedom of Information Act request because it's a private school, so they can operate a little bit differently and not put those things out there. But yeah, I mean, he made a decent little chunk of change, but again, he left and was very nice about resigning, so we didn't have to pay him the remainder of that contract. But yeah, it was. But he's the one coach, and again, he's the one proven coach that we hired, and we spent the most money for him. And he's the one coach where we have not been very thrifty about it. So, time to go in the opposite direction. Not even the opposite direction, to go in the Mark Richt direction. And hey, we need, scary money don't make none. And that's for your 4th down decision. And scary money don't make none, as in if you don't pay somebody to coach this team appropriately, you're going to get the results that we've seen. And I went down the list of records by year for the, low these many years. So pay a little bit and get somebody in here and let's go win some football games.
Brandon D, appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for the super chat. Brandon, unfortunately, still recovering from the trauma of being at the Florida State game.
Yikes.
Cam, do you think a coach like Tom Herman is a solid option if we cannot get a home run hire?
So you're calling Mike or Tom Herman like a double to the gap, maybe a triple if you or you can leg it out and you hit that turnaround second base and in stride? Yeah, I would. He's definitely not doesn't have the shiny luster on him as before he went to Texas, where he was, everybody's favorite candidate and things like that. I mean, mine included, and they went to Texas and it was not good. But hopefully you can learn from there. But then again, I don't want to give trauma to Brand or further trauma to Brandon or to anybody listening. But Manny Diaz had a very famous and very unsuccessful turn at Texas as well. And you can bet your bottom dollar that if we hired Tom Herman, the comparison to him and how it failed at Texas, and Manny Diaz and how Manny Diaz's defense failed at Texas, and then coming here to coach in Miami will be brought up more times than a little bit.
I thought Tom Herman was a good hire at Texas. He carries himself and speaks in such a way that at least my observation of that is that it sounds like he's competent, capable, can run a top flight football program. And he wasn't a complete failure there. He achieved better than Charlie Strong there. That's not a high bar, but Charlie Strong was really good prior to that at Louisville. So I have respect for Charlie Strong and obviously a tremendous defensive coordinator. But Tom Herman, he had his Sugar Bowl win in one season, going to a Big 12 championship game. He had his, he was going 8-4, 7-5 in that range there at Texas, which is not good enough there. But now they're, who knows what Steve Sarkisian's. I'm not going to obviously make the final verdict.
Losing to Kansas at home, that's what he's doing.
Tom Herman wasn't losing to Kansas.